One of the most important things you need to do as a startup is borrow credibility. Don't try to build it. Yes, in the long run, you're going to build a brand, you're going to build credibility, but in the beginning, why bother? There are already people, there are already brands, there are already organizations that have credibility, that have influence, that have giant mailing lists, that have followers that trust them. Why start from ground zero when you can piggyback off of the credibility that's already out there? I think this is some of the poorest advice that I hear out there is you need to build a brand. You need to build a mailing list. You don't need to do that stuff, okay? It takes decades in a lot of cases to build a brand, okay? You don't even know if your business is going to survive the next year. Let's forget about what's going to happen 15 years down the road. Yeah, okay, when you're established, great. You need to start focusing more on this. You shouldn't be so focused on short-term sales. Now, what you can do is you can reach out to these organizations, these brands, these people that have a lot of influence, that have a lot of clout. The other thing that you can do is instead of wasting time building a mailing list, you can just go buy one and then borrow credibility in your messaging from somebody else that has already established brand credibility. But one of the easiest ways to start is to use this tool called SparkToro. I'm just going to walk you through what this will look like. So you go to sparktoro.com. It's free. You get, I think, 10 searches per month, absolutely free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's just a very useful tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that our target is product managers. I don't know, maybe we're selling them productivity tools, software, maybe a chair that won't hurt your back because you're sitting down all day, something like that, something to help you get through meetings, whatever it is. Okay? I don't care who your customer is. Maybe it's medical doctors, maybe it's people looking for wooden gazebos. It could be anybody. You can find them all here on SparkToro. So we're going to say that my audience uses this word in their profile, product manager. And the great thing about the search engine is you're not searching for topics or search queries. You're searching for how the audience is defined. And when you're doing marketing, when you're doing startup marketing, you're interested in who the target customer is, not necessarily just, what search terms are out there. Because sometimes it's very easy to target people based on who they are rather than, behavioral metrics, which may be a little bit more difficult to track. So what we're going to do here is we're going to find out what brands, what people, what social channels already has credibility with these product managers that we're going to try to sell to, so that we can piggyback off of them. We can email them. We can reach out to them. We can do joint marketing with them. We can start inviting them to our channels, and we can start volunteering our content to participate in their channels, because it's much easier to tap into an existing audience, an existing brand, existing influence, existing credibility, than trying to start from zero when you're not a celebrity, you're not famous, and you don't have a massive following. So I'm in SparkToro. You can see the navigation here on the left. I'm looking at podcasts. Here are the podcasts they follow. Rework, okay, podcast from Basecamp. Masters of Scale with the Reid Hoffman guy. The Kevin Rose Show. Near and Fur, Steve Bank podcast. These are the guys that have credibility. Make friends with these people. See if you have something of value to add to get on the Rework podcast as a guest. Or this podcast. Or this podcast. Or that one. I've had a lot of success doing that. I, for example, in the veterinary industry, I reached out to the most influential podcasters in the vet industry, had the CEO go on there as a guest, and bam, suddenly you have access to this wide receptive audience that wants to hear what you have to say. Let's take a look at YouTube channels. Okay, we want to get in front of these product managers. Might be a bit hard getting in Slack and Basecamp. A little bit too big, 500 startups. Maybe you can have a story to offer them, or some research you've done that product managers would be interested in. Probably going to be hard getting on the Senator's channel here, but you could upgrade your account to see access to some of the smaller channels, which might be an easier way to get your foot in the door. We can look at the press to see what press hits product managers. So TechCrunch, maybe a little bit more difficult, but we could start with The Verge and work our way up. So some of these channels are going to be easier to get into. Some of them are going to be smaller or huge. Just play around, You can put them all into a cold email tool, message them all. You can go to their website and hit their contact us page and just offer them something of value. Often that's, let's say you're a PhD and you've done a dissertation. Go on there and talk about that. Let's say that you've had a success story about your customer that was a restaurant or whatever, and go to the restaurant influencers and write them and say, hey, I have this great story. I'd love to go on and talk about it. Don't talk about how great your product is. Just give them useful content, give them stories, and then you're going to build your own credibility in this way. So the classic example of doing this is to go to social and you figure out, okay, who has credibility on Twitter? We can get Twitter stats. So this guy has, or this brand Product Hunt, 419,000 plus. Okay, so some of these are going to be super high level people, but with this Ryan Hoover guy, LinkedIn, we can see how much influence he must have, some credibility in LinkedIn. We can check out his LinkedIn profile, and we can see here percentage of audience hits. We can hit 19% of our Product Manager audience by going on Product Hunt. Okay, maybe they have advertising options on Product Hunt too. We could use that as a marketing channel. We can see the number of social followers they have. How long would it take you to build a social following of 638,000 people? It's going to take you forever. It's going to take you years. It's going to be a huge investment. Don't do that. Just leverage the followerships that are already out there. You're going to be way more efficient. Sparktaro, it's just one way to find out who has credibility that you can tap into. There are other people you can partner with. So you can go to Amazon and you can just say, who's written a book on product management? Reach out to that author. You can connect with that person on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on their website, whatever. Okay, so this guy here, who we got? Jackie Bavaro and Gail. Let's write out to those people and say, hey, listen, I know you have a great audience. Here's something that I think they would love. Let's talk about it further. You could go to any channel. You could go to Google. You could go to Facebook. One approach I use is I go to Facebook, I find a group. So for example, find a group of Shopify sellers, talk to the administrator of that group and say, listen, we have this product. I'd like you to do a demo of it. We're going to pay you $75 to take a look at it, give us your feedback. And then after you get that call, you could say something, hey, are you interested in promoting this to your audience? We're going to give you a 50% commission on the sales, 30% commission, whatever. So build partnerships with people that have credibility already so you don't have to.